Tattoo artists, what was your biggest oh crap moment while tattooing? Story 1. Friday the 13th, we do a $20 tattoo special. I'd been working for about 12 hours and I go to tattoo this girl. She gets Finn from Adventure Time and the word 13. As I'm tattooing, the stencil starts to rub away and I realized I spelled THIRIRT. I stop and say out loud, oh crap. I tell the girl and she agrees to let me cover it with roses. The tattoo turned out pretty good and she's been back several times since, surprisingly. I just can't believe I misspelled 13 on Friday the 13th when I had been tattooing it on people all day. There's another one coming up next week and I'm dreading it. There won't be any words on the flash sheets this year. We now have a Discord. Check out the server in the link in the description. Story 2. Obligatory, not a tattoo artist, but I was the one getting the tattoo. I paid for my brother and I to get tattoos. Mine says my brother's keeper and his says my sister's protector, and I was going first. Guy puts the stencil on and has me check it out in the mirror. I was only paying attention to the size and placement. I sit down and I'm ready to go. Guy asks how many tats I have, so I said 14. He asked if my brother was there for any of them, and I said no, so he starts messing with him and says, oh, not a very good protector then, are you? This is as he's about to put the needle on my arm. My brother suddenly jumps across me and says, whoa, 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 that's the wrong tattoo. And we all look down. Sure enough, he had put the wrong stencil on me. Brother saved the day, earned his protector status, and made the tattoo artist eat his words. Story 3. One of my clients had some nerve damage in his arm. As I went over it, his arm involuntarily lifted up and started shaking aggressively back and forth. He almost hit me in the face, and he's lucky I didn't accidentally tattoo a huge line across his arm. It took several seconds for his arm to stop shaking. Neither of us had experienced that before. Story 4. Biggest oh crap moment wasn't a misspelling, it was a feint. I was tattooing a guy's shoulder blade, so he was sitting upright facing away from me. It wasn't a big tattoo or anything, otherwise I usually lay people down for this kind of thing. And it was busy, so just sit down and bang it out. Got about 1/3 of the way into it and his skin goes clammy cold. Big warning sign. So I start asking him if he's okay, and of course he wants to be all big tough guy about it and assures me, yeah, he's fine. His face isn't too pale, so I go to start another line. He stands up straight like the Manchurian Candidate, and just like that, he's out. He tips forward away from me. I can't grab him fast enough with the tattoo machine in one hand and his chair in my way, and he crashes face first like a plank of wood hitting the floor. The only thing this poor SOB had going for him was he had a baseball cap pulled low, and the brim saved his face from hitting full force. Everybody saw this, the whole shop, the lobby full of people, and you know what? They probably heard it outside. I'm taking off gloves and putting stuff down, and my client is on the floor twitching like a fried egg. We get to him, roll him on his side, and he starts coming to. First thing he says really loudly is, pancakes! Everybody burst out laughing, and my client is still pretty out of it. So he's coming to on the floor and everyone is doubled over in laughter. Took us a while to get him sorted and finally explained to him what happened. And he had no explanation for saying pancakes. Story 5. My best friend is a sometimes tattoo artist, and this happened back in 2004, I believe. A friend of ours wanted a tattoo for 9/11 and was getting the phrases never forgive and never forget on each arm. They were in this fancy Old English lettering covering the full forearms. As he was finishing up the second arm, someone said, I think they both say never forgive. It took a while and everyone kept looking at them. The font was really fancy so it tricked your mind, but lo and behold, they were both the same. It wasn't freehand, there were stencils for both. We're still not sure how no one noticed till the end. To make matters worse, the guy getting the tattoo was in a wheelchair as he was paralyzed from the waist down from a car accident. I thought he was gonna kill him. I remember laughing so hard at the time, it was messed up. The phrase was so ironic in the moment. Story 6. Tattoo artist for a dozen years, have had a few of these moments. The one that sticks out to me the most was a very demure old lady and her granddaughter came in. Late 70s and early 30s. Very spry old lady though. Would never guess that she was that old. She seemed very proper, not in English accent, but like old school Cape Cod accent. I don't know, demure and classy. Granddaughter had tattoos showing. Automatically assumed that she was getting the tattoo, but they directed me towards the old lady. Caught off guard, I kind of chuckled. A few simple questions while I recovered, and alright, let's begin. She begins to explain what she wants. And from the very first words, I'm floored. For starters, I would like to tattoo on my bum. I shot a glance at the granddaughter and she gives me a palms up, eyes closed, huge, smiling nod of acceptance. The older lady didn't even blush. I was sweating. Okay, round 2, let's try this again. So, what do you want on your bum? I was a 30-year-old dirty American biker tattoo artist covered head to toe in tattoos, but felt I had to say bum and not butt or ass. I laughed in my head immediately afterwards, but okay, off topic. And she says in her classy way, very calmly and matter-of-factly, I want to be very clear here, dear. I want this tattoo around my butthole. Oh, crap, what the I am literally laughing out loud. Not sure if this is real or some kind of joke and a friend is screwing with me. Okay, grab my drink and my stool, look her dead in the eyes and ask her if she's serious. A few times. She was adamant. At my age, I should be able to get whatever I want tattooed wherever I want without being questioned if I'm in a proper mind. At that point, she removes her jacket, and this woman is frickin' covered in tattoos, a span of 50 years of work. Nothing on her hands or above her neck. I'm in frickin' disbelief. This is a carbon copy of my freaking grandmother standing in front of me, covered in ink, asking me to tattoo her butthole. Times like this are where I love and hate my job. Crap, okay, so, what you want tattooed on your butthole, ma'am? Story 7. A friend of mine wanted to get the famous Caesar quote, Veni Vidi Vici, I came, I saw, I conquered, tattooed on his upper back. It turns out the tattoo artist put Veni Vidi Vidi, which translates from Latin as I came, I saw, men. I was a nerd in high school and happened to take Latin as an elective, so I called it out when I saw it. It turned out it was an easy fix. Story 8. When I was getting my first tattoo, the artist was doing his thing and quickly turned around with the active machine in his hand and the clip cord got caught on my foot. This action ripped the machine from his hand and actually stuck him in the arm with the dirty needle he had been using on me. He was not happy. After a few questions about my medical and intimate history, he finished the tattoo. The funny part is, the artist, strangely, didn't have a single tattoo on his body before I walked in, and now he has a little dot on his arm. Story 9. Totally not tattoo related, but I'm a nurse with a similar story. I once took a blood sugar, but the machine brushed up against my patient's arm and ping, flung a tiny drop of blood into my eye, like a 1 in a million shot. I flushed it aggressively and the doctor explained to the patient the importance of testing him for certain things. These things would be kept 100% confidential, but would prevent me from having to start heavy HIV meds if not needed. Up to that point, the patient was a great guy, but flipped this switch, as if we were saying he had HIV and he told us to go screw ourselves. So, from someone on the other side, thanks for being open with this guy. That kind of honesty quells a lot of initial panic and expensive/toxic treatments. Story 10. Not a tattoo artist, but a friend of mine's dog passed away, so he wanted to get the dog's name plus man's best friend inside a bone. The tattoo artist spelled the E in best backwards and tried to fix it, but it made it worse. At one point during the session, he says, "Oh, hang on, let me put my glasses on so I can see better." He also gave my friend the horrifying information that he can only tattoo while drunk. My idiot friend went back to the same guy for multiple more tattoos. Story 11. Not the artist, but a recipient. My artist and I were designing a chest piece involving Odin's wolves, Gary and Freki. One would be on each pec facing outwards. He sketched something up and sharpied the wolf on my right pec. A few hours in, my artist stops, looks discerningly at the sketch, back at me, back to the sketch, and says, "I didn't draw nipples on the sketch." I'm a little confused, and my girlfriend at the time screeches, starts clapping and laughing and screams, "He's biting your nipple!" And sure enough, my artist had not taken into consideration my anatomy, and now a wolf's mouth was biting at my nipple. What makes it so great is when my skin stretches lifting my arm, and the wolf, it looks like it's opening its mouth and closing it. I love it. My tattoo artist and I went to the same art school for college and were really good friends. With the exception of one, he's done all of my tattoos. I've gotten tons of compliments about the pieces I have that are more visible. I didn't get mad when he tattooed a wolf biting my nipple because my sense of humor is, at times, askew, and really, I think it's hilarious. Story 12. I knew a guy who did really bad tattoos. The kind of guy who gives out tattoos for like $20 and bought a kit off Amazon with a small how-to booklet. He sent me some pictures of his stuff trying to recruit me as a client. He posted new stuff every week and was so proud of it. I thought it was horrible, though. He did a tattoo of a Grim Reaper that scythe was so crooked it was pretty much a half circle. The rest of the drawing was pretty bad too, and it was all black. When I told him it looked like crap, he gave excuses as to what went wrong. He said he got high and that gave him jitters or something. Then other times he was saying he was drawing a picture a client drew. But that doesn't mean you can tattoo crooked lines. Story 13. Tattoo recipient here. I went to get a tattoo on a whim. It was my second tattoo, which was a silhouette of a Western hemlock Douglas fir, the same one that's in Oregon's license plate. Pretty straightforward. Guy prints out a stencil and applied it onto my arm and gets started on it. Right off the bat, I notice he's pressing pretty hard, and there's more blood than there was during my first tattoo. I don't say anything because I haven't had this much filling done before. I think maybe it's normal. About halfway through, this guy comes up reeking of weed. He says something along the lines of, "Hey man, I'm about to leave. How much longer are you gonna be?" The tattoo artist says, "Just a couple more minutes, it won't be long." Then he starts going faster and pressing harder. This is the oh crap moment for me. Maybe 10 more minutes pass before the weed man comes up again. "Hey dude, I really gotta go. You almost done?" Homeboy kicks it up another notch. To wrap things up, I ended up with a scarred arm, round, blobby tree branches, and he ended up with no tip. Pro tip, research tattoo parlors before you go, even on a whim. Story 14. Not an artist, but I wanted to get a tattoo for my grandfather, and I wanted it to be a surprise. So I asked him, "Hey, Pops, could you sign your name on this paper?" Him, being an undercover police officer for his entire life, signs a random name. Me, being 18 and ready to get another tattoo, doesn't read the name, and now forever I have some random person's name on me for life. Honestly, I think it's better than actually having his name, because it makes a great bar story. Story 15. I've been tattooing for 25 years. Every skeleton who's been doing it for any length of time has a few skeletons in their closet. Misspellings, numbers and birthdays mixed up, etc. It happens. A lot of the time, the client doesn't catch it either during the drawing, the stencil process, so sometimes it's not totally our fault. The trick is to know how to correct it. I've seen some doozies in my time. I've had clients give me the wrong spelling to their own kids' names. A guy that worked for me at one time was doing a Bible verse, ended one line with the, and the very next line started with the. There was only supposed to be one. I thought I'd seen it all, until this little old man in his late 60s came into my studio a few years ago and wanted a portrait of his wife. Harmless enough, I thought. Then he said, "Can you add something to it?" I said, "Sure," thinking of her name, maybe some dates around it. Nope, I was way off. He said, "Can you make it look like she's being banged by a deer?" Come again? Yep, I heard him correctly. He then proceeded to tell me a story about he, his wife, and a bunch of their friends went camping around here 30 plus years ago. They were all out in the woods partying and camping for a few days. One early fall morning, his wife, sans clothing, left the tent to walk back farther into the woods to use the bathroom. As she's squatting down, a male deer jumps out of nowhere and tries to get on top of her. She freaks out, rightly so, and is screaming. The deer is kicking and freaking out too. The old guy tells me he hears all the commotion, jumps out of the tent, and sees what's happening. And all I could do was slit its throat. WTF? I'm thinking the wife or the deer. I can only imagine this scene, but I'm also thinking this is a very tall tale. Until he comes back for his appointment and brings the wife and the group of friends, and they all retell the story exactly the same way. They thought it was hilarious that he wanted to commemorate that event. I did the piece in a kind of cartoony 50s pinup style. She was topless with a surprised look on her face with tall grass around her with a deer behind her that had its hooves up on her shoulders. A puff of steam coming out of its nose like a snort, so everything is implied. I gotta keep it kinda classy. But right before I started, he asked me, "Can you add one more thing?" I hesitantly asked what it was. "Can you make it look like the deer dong is going inside her?" I had to say no on that detail. He got the tattoo, the wife loved it, the friends laughed, and a good time was had by all. I took one picture of it and put it on my website for about a week and then took it down. It's been lost since then, and I looked on all my devices hoping I could find it and post it here. A friend of mine found it on one of those screwed up tattoo sites, so it's floating around out there somewhere. Sorry for such a long post and maybe not quite the oh crap moment OP meant, but I hope you enjoyed. Story 16. So I've been a tattoo artist for the past 8 years. I specialize in watercolors. I found that over the years, a lot of people want to get a piece done that has a lot of meaning to them. Now, I don't ever tattoo after the first meeting, with a few exceptions. I like to have an initial consultation, I make a mock-up sketch and send it to them so that they can either approve the design or give me a list of details they want to change, more often than not it's color combos. And basically, I just want to make a genuine effort to try to get to know my clients, since, tattoos are a little more permanent than the gel pen doodles I used to draw all over myself as a kid. And I want to make sure everyone leaves satisfied. I've had a handful of friends over the years who asked me to do work on them. These jobs are both more and less stressful. Less stressful because I know them better. More stressful because I have an emotional attachment when I first start on the project. This particular story is about my friend Sumer. Sumer was coming in for his first tattoo, but he didn't know what he wanted. After a lot of back and forth, he asked me for my opinion. He felt that he was lacking something and wanted to figure it out. This is common. My favorite tattoo that I've ever given was a beautiful ocean-inspired piece. She had a lifelong love of the ocean but moved pretty far inland as a kid. She decided that she wanted something to always remember it by. Another person got a piece of a bird on the Cheshire Cat, an inside joke between him and his fiancée who had unexpectedly passed away. After thinking for a few days, I got an idea for something Sumer would like. I quickly sent him a sketch and he loved it. The soonest that I was free was in a couple of months, but I decided I would try to squeeze him in earlier. Big mistake. That day had been particularly frustrating. The lady who was supposed to be my last appointment ended up taking much longer than I anticipated, made even worse by the fact that she smelled horrible. My friend was waiting in the front for about an hour. I don't allow anybody but my client in the back, so I wasn't in the best headspace when I started. I hate keeping people waiting. I really should have asked him to come back later, but I had promised and I thought that I could do it. Now, I have a bit of a thing for theatrics, but since this was my friend, I really wanted to make sure he was impressed. So after I finished, I gave him a mirror so that he could see properly. Sumer e tua, I said with pride, I present to you your first tattoo. The thing that you realized you had been lacking. A goddamn serious tag. Seriously, people, put serious tags on your posts. Story 17. I've been tattooing for almost 17 years. Last winter, I was doing a very small, simple tattoo on a young woman's calf. Usually, when a client is about to lose consciousness, and it does happen, I can tell. They get this weird cross-eyed look, their skin gets sweaty but cold, they talk nonsense. When I know it's coming, there are steps I can take to prevent it, or at least prevent them from injuring themselves. In this case, though, none of that happened, and besides, I was looking down at her leg, not up at her face. Girl faints and straight up face plants into the hard tile floor. Loud thunk like a watermelon being dropped into the bed of a pickup truck. Oh, crap. So I get down there to check her out. Unconscious. Okay. Can you hear me? Nothing. Look at her friend. What's her name? Tasha? Tasha, can you hear me? Nothing. And then I see it. The huge, dark, crimson pool of blood spreading around her head. Just so much blood. Oh, crap. Dead white girl in the tattoo shop. Bearded, tattooed, scary outlaw biker tattooist. Yeah, I'm going to prison right now. I hope I look good in orange. I look back at her friend. You, call 911. The address here is 123 Main Street. Just then, bloody Tasha begins to stir and make weird animal noises. Hi, Tasha. You're gonna be okay. You've lost consciousness. Let's keep you right here on the floor so you can't get hurt, okay? Are you breathing all right? Etc., etc. Got her turned onto her back with the wound not draining into her eyes or nose, and gently started to clean off blood so we could see the damage. She's talking okay, making sense, breathing and heart rate are at least close to normal. She isn't nauseous, no complaints other than a severely bumped noggin. 2 fire trucks and an ambulance, 7 EMTs in my shop. Tasha goes to the hospital. Tasha gets 10 stitches in her head. While fortunately I didn't have to use it, all licensed tattooists in my state are required to be first aid and CPR certified. I have to renew these certifications every year. That crap is not a joke. Getting tattooed by an amateur unlicensed scratcher without the proper training can lead to your death. Had Tasha been getting tattooed by some amateur at a house party where there were drugs on the table and no one was willing to call 911, things could have been a lot worse. All's well that ends well. Tasha returned 2 weeks later so I could finish her tattoo. She didn't faint again. She left a happy customer. Edit. I do have in my possession a picture of the enormous puddle of blood that was on the floor of my shop. It took a whole roll of paper towels and a lot of disinfectant to clean up the mess. I'm not going to show the picture though, because I'm a professional and I respect Tasha and her ridiculously large pool of blood. And it would just kind of be rude to put it on Reddit. So Tasha, if you ever read this, show them that picture. Story 18. Not a tattoo artist myself, but a friend of mine got drunk at a party a couple years back. There was this dude with a tattoo machine at the party and my drunk friend either got talked into it or just thought it was a brilliant drunk idea. Not sure. Anyway, even in his drunken state of mind, he figured that he should at least get a tattoo that he could cover up. So they decided that Face the Facts would be a rad tattoo on the side of his foot. However, when they were done, the tattoo said, Face the Face. It's still a running joke within our group, and some friend of ours even named their band Face the Face. Story 19. Not an artist, but I have a good one. My best friend's uncle was a real one-upping D-bag, the kind of guy that you're surprised his name isn't Chad, constantly bragging and talking down to everyone, which makes this funnier. He went to get Sacred tattooed on his body in multiple places. Across his chest, on both arms. He came over the next day to show off his new ink to the whole family. And there he was, a gigantic, scared tattooed across his chest. Everyone immediately started laughing. They even showed him the stencil. He okayed it. He truly thought that was how you spelled sacred. Sometimes life knows how to bring a-holes down a notch when it's necessary. Story 21. Friend of mine. Guy comes in wanting a horrid West Coast custom style font in his leg, saying bawling is a habit. Guy had given her the paper with the script on it. Did the tat after she realized it said bawling is a hobbit. So now that guy's walking around repping Frodo like a gangster. In turn, she says, look, I worked my ass off for this job. I'm a tattoo artist, not an English major. Proofread your crap. And damn, she's right about that. But nothing makes me happier than remembering that little Iranian dude and thinking of him saying, damn dog, Lord of the Rings real as hell.